Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Jennifer Levin, and I'm here today with a Facebook Live. I'm from Whidbey Island in Washington, and I'm happy to report that we finally have some sun. It's in the high 60s, it's beautiful, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying a nice summer wherever you are. Today, I want to talk about isolation and loneliness, which is something that many people experience when they are going through grief, and especially sudden loss, because the circumstances of a sudden loss can be so different and so unique that you're actually more prone to experience isolation and loneliness. And so, let's talk about why that is. So first, let me actually define what isolation is. And isolation is actually, it can take place in a number of different ways. It can be when you're geographically distant from people, those that you love, and you're in a separate space. And it can also be choosing, excuse me, choosing not to come out of your house and to keep yourself physically distant or separated from others. And some people are okay with that. They're okay feeling isolated. Loneliness, on the other hand, it's very different. It's when you yearn for a social connection with other people, but instead you feel very empty inside. You can actually be in a room of people and feel very lonely, and that can be the worst, feeling like nobody gets you. You can be all alone and feel very lonely, like you have no one to connect with, especially if you've lost your special person, a spouse or a child who you used to spend a lot of time with, and you're all alone. Or you can be with a group of people, like I just said, and feel very alone, and that no one understands you, no one gets you. So you can be in very close proximities with others, whereas isolation, um, you can be far apart. Loneliness can actually lead to isolation because you can feel when you're lonely that no one gets you, and so you choose to actually physically isolate yourself from other people. Well, the problem with loneliness and isolation is that it can actually be very detrimental to your physical and emotional health. And research has shown that it can increase inflammation, it can increase heart disease. It can increase, or I should say, decrease brain function or impair memory and inflammation, I told you about. And it also can decrease your immune system. So it's not good for your body, it's not good for your mental health. So, what can you do about it? Well, there's lots of things that you can do about it, but it's actually going to take you putting yourself out there and you doing something about it, which can be really hard when you're grieving and when you don't have a lot of energy and you don't feel really good. So, let's talk about what some of these options can be. Well, one of my favorite things is having a furry friend or a pet. And this is actually a big commitment, so I don't take it lightly. But having an animal, a pet, can be really good. And research again has shown that having somebody or a pet to take care of can increase mood. It helps us live longer. Having the responsibility, a pet to love, a pet to pet, interact with, and that unconditional love is a really great thing, and it really does help with that isolation and loneliness, but it is a very big commitment. Volunteering, being of service to others, is an amazing way to combat isolation and loneliness, especially if you can volunteer or be of service in a way that meant something to your loved one who died. There's a sense of fulfillment that can come from that, that can be very, very meaningful. So if you are thinking of volunteering or being of service, I encourage you to find a way to see if you can tie in to a mission or a way to connect with your loved one when you're doing that. Joining a book club, a structured activity, especially if you're feeling that you're not connecting well with somebody and you don't want to just sit and go through idle conversation or just talk about things in general, but a structured activity, a book club, a church club, or religious activity. Um, Anything, like I said, an art class or something where you get together and you do something that's very structured, could be very helpful for you as well. Technology has opened up a lot of options for us. Whenever possible, when you're feeling isolated or lonely, I'm always going to encourage you to do something that's in person. But if that's not where you're at, it's not an option. There's some wonderful online courses that you might be able to do, engage with other people. There's groups online. Be careful, make sure you're choosing a reputable program, group, especially if it's a support group. Just make sure that it's a good group full of good people. But do something where you're interacting with people. I know when you're grieving, it takes a lot of energy to put yourself out there. So prioritize your energy, making sure that you're doing things where you're getting a lot of bang for your grief buck, I should say. So it takes a lot, and I really want to acknowledge that. But it's important that you decrease feelings of isolation and loneliness, but it has to come from you. But it'll be well worth it. So I hope this helps today. Just kind of validate how difficult those feelings are. I want to let you know that my next podcast will be, but I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and that will take place on Wednesday, July 20th, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Also, it's not too late to sign up for my online grief workshop, which takes place this Saturday, July 16th, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Grieving a sudden death, how to stay connected and present. And you can find more information on my website, www.from grief to growth. Anyway, take care of yourself. Hope you're doing well, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.